Hi there and welcome to this video review of Sonic 2 for Nintendo Switch. Now you might well be thinking, haven't I already played Sonic 2 on Switch? And you're absolutely right. Never mind the fact that Sonic Mania basically lets you play the best bits of that game, but Sonic 2 in its entirety is available already in the Sega Mega Drive collection, which is a great package, albeit spoiled a little by pretty severe input lag. But this conversion we're looking at today, which was released this week on the eShop, has been converted by the absolutely awesome M2. You'll know their work from the superlative conversion of Virtua Racing, Outrun, and many others. But even though these guys really know their stuff, I do think it would have been better to just port Christian Whitehead's amazing version from iOS instead, and I'll explain why in a moment. First things first though, Sonic 2 as a game itself is still one of the best platformers you can buy. The art style has aged magnificently, the music is a masterclass in not only chiptune production on limited hardware, but also in composition. These tunes remain some of the best in all of gaming, and level after level is a sonic delight, and of course that pun was intended, but it's also 100% true. The gameplay is simple enough for anyone to understand. You just play as Sonic or Tails, or both if you've got a second controller, and must make your way from left to right, collecting rings and freeing cute animals from the devious robotic creations of one Dr. Ivo Robotnik. Every 2 acts you face a boss, and then you move on. It's more bombastic and fast-paced compared to Sonic 1 or Sonic CD, and the 2-act structure gives the game much greater variety. It's also evident that the game is designed to reward those who chase down all 7 Chaos Emeralds. Facing the last few levels of the game with the ability to turn into Super Sonic makes so much more sense than trying to do it in your vulnerable blue form. And the level design remains top-notch throughout, only really waning in the low point, which is the 3-act, too long Metropolis. I thoroughly enjoyed playing through the game again, and considering I first did so in early 1993, that's some pretty awesome longevity, so if you're just starting out now, this game can keep you going for literally decades. You'll love it. But personally, having played the game literally 1,000 times before, I can see all the imperfections in this conversion. Firstly, there's quite a lot of slowdown, which is pretty inexcusable at this stage. There are also some bugs that already existed, like Tails flying around in his standing animation, but I also found some new ones. I mean, where did this grounder actually go? It just disappears. And I don't remember seeing Super Sonic spinning on spikes before. Input lag is evident even in handheld mode, but it's not dreadful, especially compared to that Mega Drive Collection version. You can see the difference between the two versions here. Even so, the small amount of lag and the slowdown make for a game that just doesn't feel quite right. It feels ever so slightly flaky. Now, the bumpers in Casino Night Zone have never felt so solid, but I see why in hindsight. It's because you've got the HD rumble from the Joy-Cons giving you feedback as Sonic hits the bumpers, coupled with the fact that the bounce is happening without you having to press any buttons, so you don't feel the lag. And it's all in a slowdown free area, so you've got this lovely 60 frames per second reaction which you can feel through your hands. It makes it look and feel exquisite. But then on Terra Firma, the game always feels just that tiny bit laboured. Maybe I'm just too used to Sonic Mania at this point, and if you're not as accustomed to how Sonic 2 is meant to feel, you probably won't notice that anything's wrong. But when this game introduces Sonic Mania's drop dash move into Sonic 2 for the first time, it's just begging for the comparison. The move's been implemented with little finesse, so that it works on severe inclines, and that doesn't quite fit with the logic of the rest of the game's still excellent physics. I loaded up Sonic Mania just to check how it dealt with a similar incline, and you can see that it realises that the slope is too much and reduces Sonic's movement accordingly. In terms of M2's modern presentation, it's another exemplary offering. There are plenty of screen size options, including an authentic looking vintage CRT simulation, complete with scan lines and blurring, and wallpapers if you don't want the smaller sizes to play on a simple black background. There's also a separate leaderboard for ring chain mode, which sees you trying to collect as many rings as you can before you lose them. You can also here play as Knuckles, as you could on Sonic Jam on Saturn, but the game just wasn't designed with Knuckles' moveset in mind, so it's not actually held my attention in the slightest. Oh no, indeed. 2 players can still enjoy a decent split screen versus option, although it's just as squashed as it always was. Though again, the slowdown is pretty awful here. It just doesn't need to be like this, especially as it's over a quarter of a century since the game was released. It is nice to have the HD rumble through the Joy-Cons, which of course the original never had. That's been implemented very well. But the biggest and best addition has to be the challenge mode, where you can race to collect 100 rings and finish Act 1 of Emerald Hill Zone as fast as you can. And you're doing this against the rest of the world thanks to global leaderboards, complete with replay upload and download. Watching the fastest in the world reminds me of my Sonic speedrunning efforts, and I'm glad actually that I'm a little too busy at the moment to tackle this seriously, because I'm pretty sure I'd lose days of my life to this if I let it get a hold of me. You can also view replays of your entire playthroughs, which save automatically, which is nice. And basically this is everything a modern conversion should be, except in the way the game itself is being run. Going back to Christian Whitehead's version for iOS, not only does his Hedgehog engine run at 60 frames per second on pretty much every device it's on, his version also contained additions and corrections for known issues, including the never-seen-before Hidden Palace Zone, which was accessible through the Death Pit in Mystic Cave Zone. Now I really wish that that conversion had been given this treatment for Switch, because it feels like Sonic 2 Deluxe, it feels like the premium edition, and this, as a result, just isn't as good. Even so, if you take this as a repackaging of the Mega Drive original, I suppose there's something to be said for genuine authenticity, even if it does have that drop dash shoehorned in. At least it's optional, and it doesn't work in 2-player as well, which makes things fair. So, given that the game itself still looks beautiful, sounds exquisite, and still plays superbly even with the slight imperfections, I still give Sonic 2 on Switch 4 out of 5 stars. I would note, however, that it's almost certain to come down in price in a few months, so there's no rush to buy it right away. But if you haven't played it before, or don't have a modern version, this is a decent one to go for. Well, thank you very much for watching. Please hit like and subscribe, and take a look around my channel. I just reviewed the ZX Spectrum Next, and I'm also keeping a video diary as I self-produced my 3rd music album, which is called The Ghost Train. So take care until next time, I'll see you soon. Cheers.